Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast. Dave, we have episode 54 today. It is, I can't believe we're still going. We're off our March Madness episodes, which were back-to-back, whales of an episode. They both were super long. As you guys watched last week on YouTube, Dave and I recorded together last week in Pensacola. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today. Today's going to be a quick hitting show. I have a co-host today. You can't see her in the background, but Pepper is in here with me. And she's laying in her crate right now. I just gave her some peanut butter in her Kong because open up the episode as to where the hell I'm recording today. I am in Abilene, Texas. So we're about, 150 miles or so west of Dallas-Fort Worth. This is the pit stop for the day. And here, Pepper, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm looking at the dog. Sorry, guys. We are here because we left Waco. We were in Waco for 3 days, and it was awesome. And we spent 3 days there with one of my very, very best friends, childhood best friends growing up, named Keith. We'll just leave him named as Keith. And middle school, high school, he went to the military afterwards and had a long military career. And now his job is in Waco. So we wanted to make sure we spent some time there this go round going west, because that is a relationship that has been super close to me, but I haven't been able to really see in person because of his location was either various places around the world in the military and in various states. But we knew we were going west. So I had told Andine, we are, come hell or high water, stopping in Waco, Texas. Now, initial reaction, shot out of a cannon. Dave, have you ever been to Waco?
I have been to Waco. Yes. One time. Football game. I'm sure that comes.
Beautiful stadium.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Having the river right out there. They got the bridge that comes over where all the fans come in from. It is a beautiful
university. Baylor, if we don't know what we're talking about, Baylor University is in Waco. And we spent 2 or 3 days there, and we spent a bunch of time down in the Brazos River, which runs right through campus. What Dave's speaking is there's a bridge to go across the river to the football stadium, so the kids on campus never have to worry about parking. They can literally walk to McLean Stadium.
Did you go and see the Bears while you were there?
We didn't.
Oh, because they actually have the Baylor Bears right there on campus, and it's like a 5-minute walk from
really,
the
we did.
It's pretty cool.
It's so weird. Side note, we did walk part of the Baylor campus on the riverside, and then we drove through, and it was so weird because Madison's only 4.5 years away from colleges, and so it was like a de facto tour, unguided tour of Baylor University. And Madison's like, Dad, I like this place. And then I looked at the bill, Dave. Oh boy, $55,000 a year out of state. $27,500 a semester. $27,500 per semester. Yeah,
that's crazy.
But let me tell you, it is a beautiful stadium, a beautiful campus, a beautiful downtown. It is a great little college town. Most people know Waco from Chip and Joanna Gaines from that show Fixer Upper. And when we first got there, we're like, man, Waco, man. One thing I will tell you, the roads are terrible. I have pulled my camper, I bet you close to 10,000 miles around this country, and I cannot name a place that has worse roads for a major, not major, because it's not 1 million people, but it's not 50,000 people, but for a major city, the roads, Dave, are atrocious.
I didn't spend enough time driving around them, but I'm not overly surprised by that. When I was going into these towns, I was there for, really short periods of time, and it was always like I was locked inside of a truck for most of it. But like I said, the campus is beautiful. Outside of that, to be
it's like I said, when we got there on Friday, we did the Magnolia thing, the Chip and Joanna Gaines thing, which was cool. Not for me, but they have the silos there, and the downtown is very, very craft. It's like kind of artsy. I'm not artsy, but it's all right there. The downtown's not very big, and there's a beautiful river walk. There's a zoo right there. But that was Friday night. Saturday morning, we went to the farmer's market in downtown Waco, which is pretty close to the silos. And where we were staying, just outside of town at the RV park, we were probably nowhere more than anywhere we wanted to go in Waco was anywhere from 7 to 15 miles away at most. Saturday we did the farmers market, did the river walk, the zoo, the Cameron Park Zoo, the Waco Zoo's right there. And then Sunday we did a cool one. Mm-hmm. We went to, first thing we did Sunday morning is we went to, and if anybody has any history of the United States of what happened in Waco 30 years ago with the Branch Davidians and David Koresh and all that stuff, where the church was, where the massacre was, where the fire, we drove by that site and it's closed. We couldn't go down there, but you could still see like one of the old buildings is still there. But it's all fenced off and gated off with cameras everywhere. Because it is a popular tourist attraction. But it just so happened to be we were in Waco the same weekend as a great number 45 was there. DJT was there this weekend in Waco, so that was cool. We didn't go with the kids and whatnot, but everything got shut down at like 2:00 because of that. And we did that, and then we went to the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame, not the baseball team, the actual Texas Rangers.
Oh,
Riding shotgun with the Texas Rangers, like all the country songs. And they're a historic, law enforcement agency. And they were founded in, I think 1835 or 1823 or something like that. So we did the tour of the museum. It was $9 for Andy and I. Finley was free and it was $4 for the girls. And we did that. We spent an hour and a half there. Dude, you want to talk about the history of the Texas Rangers. I mean, it was awesome. It was absolutely phenomenal. And it worked out to be like a good little history lesson for homeschooling the girls. It turned out to be a pretty good lesson. But I'm not recording in Waco. I'm talking about Waco because that's where we were for the last 3 days. Abilene, Texas is literally just a pit stop along I-20 heading back west to Tucson. So we are about 750 miles or so from home. So,
dude, you're almost there. Yeah. You called it home again.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Cool. Today was a good drive. And one thing I will say about Texas, even though their roads are terrible, their freeways aren't bad, and everyone goes 75. So you can knock out 300 miles in 4 hours pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So that is a good thing. We drove 250 or 60 miles today, and it felt like we didn't even drive that far. Because we just had cruise control set. We pit stopped and once or twice and get here. So yeah, so I am broadcasting from Abilene, Texas today. Pretty big town. But now we enter West Texas. When we leave here tomorrow, we enter West Texas. And West Texas, for anyone that's driven through West Texas, there's not a whole lot in West Texas. It's going to be a couple days of just knocking out 300 miles, find a place to sleep type of deal. So, but yeah, so that's where I'm broadcasting from. We are episode 54 today, Dave. We have some famous number 54s, and today's episode is going to kind of be like a boom. Like I jumped on the Waco topic, talk about that. We got 3 or 4 topics we're going to cover, but I want to jump in and hop into our Bible verse today, get through famous number 54s, and then go over all the topics we got to talk about today. So today's Bible verse comes from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 12. And this, I told Dave before show, this is one of my all-time favorite Bible quotes that I didn't forget, but I just hadn't read Ecclesiastes in a while. And this is the book of the Bible that I've been reading the last 3-4 mornings after Proverbs. And Ecclesiastes 3:12, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. I don't know, that verse is so simple, yet there's so much depth in it. And really, there's nothing better than to just be happy and do good in everything that you do every day. That's why I put that verse in there. Any thoughts on the verse?
No, it is. It's so perfect, man. Just being happy. We've gotten so far away from it, and doing good with the things that you have in life and who you are and the way you live your life. It's so important. It's so simple, but it seems like it's so hard for people to master. I mean, it's hard for me to think about, like, what is happiness? How do you find happiness? I think everybody's always on the search for it, right? So it's finding those little things that ultimately give you the
and it's funny
joy.
that you mentioned it. And the other reason why I'm going to look at my phone really quick. I took a screenshot of a quote that I saw about being happy. And if anybody knows, Dave, this one you'll know because you love Batman. Let's see if I can find it. I thought I had a quote in here that I took a picture of from Heath Ledger, and everyone knows who Heath Ledger. He committed suicide, and he was a very famous actor. And there was a quote from him, and I have I screenshotted it, and I kept my phone. I read it every couple of weeks when I'm scrolling through my phone, and it says, "Everyone you meet always asks if you have a career, are married, or own a house, as if life was some kind of grocery list. But nobody ever asks if you're happy." And I thought that fits this Bible verse from Ecclesiastes today, because like, it's not about stuff. And I mean, for so many people, Dave, it's about stuff and all this other crap. And it's just, just do good and just be happy. Right. It's so strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's so strange. But anyways, that's your Bible verse today. Go read that book if you have time. It's not a super long book in the Bible, and it's a good one. It comes right after Proverbs too. So if you read Proverbs, you can just roll right into it. But famous number 54 is Dave. Our we're not going to stop doing our famous numbers. Our tournament's been done, but we're going to still do our numbers because there's a lot of numbers that didn't make the cut in the tournament. But 54, all I'm going to say is it is a big time linebacker number.
It's linebackers, all linebackers. It seems like. I mean, you had some great ones on there. I mean, how about Brian Urlacher and Zach Thomas? I mean, those guys are fantastic. And Teddy Bruschi. There he is, ex-Patriot, old Patriot, retired Patriot. Man, that guy could get out there.
I was going to ask you, do you have any Bruschi stories? Because you worked at ESPN and he worked there. No?
No. Yeah, we did NFL Live together every once in a while, but I don't know, never really chatted with him. No particular reason, but I didn't do a lot of NFL stuff, so we didn't cross paths all that much. But seemed like a nice guy.
The other one there's a couple baseball ones on here that were sneaky, kind of good. Goose Gossage, Brad Lidge, the closer for the Astros. Sergio Romo, who was the closer for the Giants. He won a few Super Bowls, or not Super Bowls, World Series titles with the Giants. And then also Aroldis Chapman. I remember Chapman, he got all the play and all the run when he was Cincinnati Red, I think he was. And then the Yankees gave him the contract.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's pretty good. Dude, one of my favorite players for a while. NBA,
Horace Grant on the list.
Huge Horace Grant fan, dude. He was always so much fun to watch. Throw the glasses on there, get out there, and he would get after it. I used to love watching Horace play on those Orlando Magic teams. Yeah,
it's he's great. I mean, it's a pretty good list. I mean, it's not a great list. It didn't make the cut because it doesn't have the starting five, but it definitely was a good. It's a good number list for sure.
Sure.
The other, so there's two big stories we're going to touch on today. One is a personal story. UConn's in the Final Four, baby. Woohoo! We're super pumped for that as diehard UConn fans and Connecticut natives. We are super pumped to see UConn back in the Final Four. First time since 2014 when they won it in Houston, where this year's Final Four is. Dude, they have just been running ruckshot through the tournament. They have just been burying teams that are supposed to give them trouble. They don't even matter what you're putting in front of right now, dude. They're beating everybody and they're whooping everybody.
Dude, I've watched a piece of I think just about every single UConn game this year, whether it was 5 minutes or it was the full game. I've seen a lot of UConn hoops this year, which has been awesome. And this is by far the best they've looked all season long. I mean, they looked this dominant when they started 14-0, start the season when they beat Alabama by 15. But that was like early. That was Phil Knight Invitational. You're like, what are these teams really at this point? Teams are just coming together, just learning how to play with each other. So kind of hard to gauge. Then they hit that slump in the Big East where they lost 6 of 8, and it was looking kind of grim. I mean, they were number 2 in the country, looked like they were going to be number 1. Then they almost fell out of the top 25 a couple times. And now look at them. They're in the Final Four. And like you said, man, they are smashing people and they are smashing good teams. I mean, they came out of the gate with Iona, which say what you want about Iona. It's not a big school, but they had Rick Pitino as
great coach.
Rick Pitino knows UConn very well. He's a great coach. So that wasn't an easy game. And then they come out game 2, St. Mary's. They're the number 5 seed, so they played the next best seed available to them, hammered them. And then Gonzaga, the 2-3 matchup, UCLA-Gonzaga. We wound up with Gonzaga. I mean, the best offensive team in the country, and we just completely shut them down. I mean, dominated all phases of the game.
Don't forget about the Arkansas blowout in the middle. Arkansas preseason had 3 top NBA prospects on that starting 5. So Arkansas Arkansas did beat the 1 seed Kansas. And you and I both said complete disrespect for UConn, for Hurley and UConn, with being a 4 seed.
Oh, yeah.
But the other thing I thought was weird, and I told you, how weird is it that they played the top two teams in the top two teams from the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, who play, I swear, every year in the West Coast Conference championship game. We had to play them we went St. Mary's, Arkansas, Gonzaga. It made no sense that they were in the same bracket.
I mean, two teams from that conference, and they could have met in a regional final. It doesn't make any sense. It's
the other thing about UConn that I'm impressed about, and I'm a much harsher critic on UConn than Davis. They haven't lost a game outside of the Big East. That's the impressive thing. Not one, and it's not like they played some cupcake schedule, dude. The one thing I will say about college basketball, they get it right. See, college football, it's different because they only play 12 games. College basketball, they play 30. But when they do these Phil Knight invitationals and these Atlantis ones and this one and that one and the preseason NIT and blah, 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 like these guys, the top teams are playing each other every year. Every single year they're playing each other. All the time. Because they got to make up games. And I think they've really realized that, dude, they got to beef up their non-conference schedule because all these teams that their bubble bursts, right, on Selection Sunday, and then the non-conference schedule, blah, 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 blah. UConn has dismantled everybody outside of that bad stretch in the middle where they lost 6 of 8, and then the Marquette game in the Big East semis, which the better coach, that's what I said after that game, the better coach won that game, not the better basketball team. Dude, they're rolling. It's impressive. I'm super pumped they're back in the Final Four. Saturday night, we get Miami, a former awesome Big East foe. We have the Jim Larinaga UConn thing, because if anyone knows anything about UConn basketball, Jim Larinaga was the head coach for George Mason when they beat us in the Elite Eight with that NBA loaded roster. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm excited, and it's weird because we are the odds-on favorite to win the national championship, and there's not a lot of years where UConn's been outside of 2004, which is the only one of our titles that we are the odds-on favorite preseason, all season, postseason. This, we are the favorite right now. We are by far playing the best basketball.
Dude, and this would be, if they can win a national championship here, this will give them their 5th national championship with 3 different coaches, which I think puts them in a whole different light. I mean, 5 national championships, that puts them right in line with Duke.
Puke.
Okay. It puts us more than Kansas. Puke. It's true. I was so happy they lost early.
UConn is UConn, regardless if they win the title this year, this is their 6th Final Four since 1999. So we're talking 6 Final Fours in 24 years. That is what? Every 4 years they make a Final Four? That's, what is that, 15% of the time? 20% of the time?
Yeah. And we got spoiled. So the last 8 years have been brutal.
Yeah.
Because we were so good from that stretch from 99 to 14. And it's like we just hit the road. So it's so nice
UConn,
to be back.
We are an absolute, hands down, bona fide blue blood. That's the term that you use for the blue chip programs. Yeah. We are a blue blood. We are a blue chip program. UCLA, North Carolina, Duke, UConn, Kentucky. I mean, those are blue blood programs. Kansas.
5 national championships puts us in line with Duke and Indiana.
Yep.
Okay. We're tied with Kansas at 4. So we're already tied with them. And then the only 3 above us would be North Carolina, Kentucky, and UCLA with 11. I mean, that's going to be a tough one to get to. North Carolina only has 6.
Yeah.
Third most all time. But here's another thing people don't necessarily realize is UConn has never finished as the national runner-up. We lost in the Final Four once, 4 for 4 in the championship game. Which
Gino's championship game last year was his first time he ever lost in the championship game. He was 11 for 11, and he was, and he lost. But then again, that they're in a different stratosphere of excellence. So,
no doubt about it. But it's awesome. It's been a fun ride as a UConn fan. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. They've got University of Miami next. And if they can win that game, then they've got the winner of San Diego State and Florida Atlantic. And not going to lie, as much as I think the ending of the Creighton San Diego State game was nonsense, a bunch of bullshit, the way it all kind of wrapped itself up, I am grateful to not have to worry about playing.
We always struggle
because they have had our number, regardless of the year, regardless of the team. They've had our number. We finally beat them once this year, but that was the first time.
What's funny about Connecticut? You got bad weather, bad roads, high taxes, and basketball.
And basketball.
High taxes, terrible roads, terrible weather,
so
great
good.
basketball program. It's amazing. And Andine,
Yeah,
my wife is, that's
so
her alma mater. My wife and my sister are both UConn graduates. I didn't go to UConn. You didn't go to UConn, but my wife and my sister and one of my cousins are all UConn graduates. So, which is cool.
I was interested in finding out, because I always want to put a little money spin on things. I was interested to look at the tuitions of the 4 remaining schools, so the final 4 teams. I'm comparing apples to apples here, out-of-state tuition, okay? Which of the 4 schools do you think is the least expensive?
So it's Florida Atlantic. Oh, wow.
Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, UConn, or Miami?
I'm going to say UConn's the least expensive, and Miami is the most expensive.
Okay. You are correct.
I'm correct on
one account.
I'm correct on Miami for sure. Have you ever been to Coral Gables? It is maybe the most beautiful campus on the face of the planet.
Oh,
it is unbelievable.
Ridiculous. So the tuition, the tuition there is $27,720
per semester,
flat fee. That's for 12 to 20
at Miami
credits. So that's that's
that's per semester. So that's $55,000 a year.
Okay. You thought UConn would be the cheapest.
I thought UConn was the cheapest.
Wrong, sir. Wrong. Number 2 on the list for most expensive at $21,288 for a semester out of state. Next in line would be Florida Atlantic, number 3, $20,192. And the least expensive option, you may ask, or may realize here, is San Diego State, which is not.
I would have said that was probably second.
But I'm going to give you another shot. Now, what do you think their cost of tuition is for a semester?
I'm going to say it's
out of state.
Florida Atlantic was 20,000 and they were third. I'm going to say that their out of state tuition is State University. I'm going to go with $14,500 a semester.
$4,087.
What? It's got to be credits only. That can't include room and board and stuff like that. Yeah,
none of this was tuition.
Well, that's
none
really
of it was
cheap.
Room and board.
That's cheap.
Just tuition, straight up tuition.
That's awesome. Madison can go to San.
That's
I said
this
California.
Too. I know. Yeah, full time. I mean, San Diego is probably the most beautiful. I love it. It's my favorite city in the country. I mean, undergraduate full time, $4,087. So there you go. Your final 4. If you want to go to the cheapest university, go to San Diego State. Live on the beach. I mean, cost of living is going to cost you probably more than the rest of them.
So, man, I'll tell you though, where the University of Miami is in Coral Gables, and it is absolutely stunning. I have never seen, obviously, the Aztec San Diego State's campus. We've obviously been to UConn. We've been to Storrs, and I've never been to Florida Atlantic. But Coral Gables is a top-notch campus. It's ridiculous, So anyway, so that's our final 4 talk about. We're all super pumped about UConn being there. And now to move on to some somber news that happened as we are recording today, Monday, released Tuesday. So we're not going to talk a lot about it because it hurts us both. It's awful. We're parents. We're full force fathers. And today, right in your neck of the woods, Dave, something terrible happened. I think you said it was only maybe 20 minutes from where you are or 30 minutes from where you are.
That was from work. It's about 45 minutes.
45 minutes from your house, 20 minutes from your job. And there was a school shooting today. And we're going to talk about it briefly because we're parents. And I'm going to talk about it because it's not the only reason why we homeschool our kids. But it is, I'd be lying if it wasn't a reason for homeschooling our kids. If you're going to shoot my kids at school, you're going to have to come into my house and shoot my kids. You know what I mean? And this, listen, I'm not going to talk about it in the sense that I don't know anything about the person who did it. I don't want to, presume anything. But from the original report, the school was locked, and this person got their way in by force, by using a gun, got in that way. So there's no finger pointing at schools or anything like that, or security or whatnot. I just want to touch base as to why it's really a hard decision for Ann, Dean, and I to think about sending the kids back to school, because when we decided to go back to Tucson, we love Madison and Caroline School. You know, it's a uniform school. It's you know, convention or conservative value school. You know, desks and rows. Kids wear uniforms. Boys are boys and girls are girls. Those are all the things that mean a lot to both you and I. But this was a Christian school that this happened at today, a private Christian academy, uniform school. It just shows you that it doesn't matter where you are in the country. I don't care if you're in Tucson or Torrington, right? Or Nashville now, or Texas, or Minnesota, or Seattle, or Florida. There's bad people out there that are going to do bad things to people. And we're talking about it, and we didn't really bring it up to the girls at all. But Andy and I were just having a private conversation a little earlier when she told me about this coming on, and we both looked at her and we're like, we don't know. We just don't know if we're ready to send them back to school again. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even have my thoughts, besides the fact that my heart is so fucking broken for the parents that have to receive that phone call, or the parents or spouses or siblings, or who have to receive the phone call for the administrators that died today at the hands of a fucking psychopath. It's not cool. It's not cool on any level. It's atrocious. It should never happen. But we have to live in reality where bad people do bad things. And it's so unfortunate. And Dave and I, Dave was tearing up a little bit before we were talking about it. And it gets me, it strikes me pretty hardcore that this is the most evil of all evils, is to hurt children. And it is our job as dads, moms, parents, grandparents, adopted parents, step parents, to protect them, our children, at all costs, because we pass the torch to them, right? Our parents have, we're in our late 30s. Our parents passed the torch to us. We have to pass the torch to them. But with the way that this world's going, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a fucking torch to pass to them.
Yeah, it's incredibly sad. And, I was at work. I saw a newswire come across. Casey had texted me, "Hey, did you see the news?" And just said that I read the headline. Tried to kind of detach myself from it while I was there. When I got in the car, I heard the press conference coming home kind of about it, and it just kind of broke me down then. Because it is the three kids that were all killed. 2 were 9, 1 was 8. We each have a child that age, so that one really struck a chord. We were both back in Connecticut when Sandy Hook happened, and that was, Casey and I knew we were expecting our first. We were expecting Kendall then. So as a soon-to-be parent, it hit a chord then too. I was talking to my dad, and I was just kind of saying, after kind of hearing about it today, like, you've got to be a special kind of fucked up crazy to go into a school and murder innocent kids.
Yep.
Tragedies amongst, shootings and other tragedies, they're all terrible. When you amplify that by the fact that it's helpless kids that
they just want to smile. They want to smile and be happy.
They can't do anything. They just want to smile. They just want to go to school and have fun. It's heartbreaking. Because when you send your kids to school, you're expecting them to be in a safe environment. And it's becoming increasingly more common, which is definitely sad. You touched on at the beginning, the school had precautions in place. The doors were locked. This person shot through a window and gained access into the school that way. Now, could there be more security? Of course there can. There are reports that this person surveillanced 2 schools and the other one had more security. That's why they picked this one. So it's proof that, having more security at a school makes a difference. How about, give a little praise to the first responders who went in, charged into the building today.
Yeah.
They got there 14 minutes after shots were fired, and they took her out. 5 officers charged in the building, returned fire at them, and they took the person out, which is definitely a different story than what happened in Texas recently. So if anything, hopefully, our first responders are making, the right decisions and getting in there and saved as many people as they could. But it's still a tragedy for those 3 kids and the 3 staff members. It's a sad day.
It's terribly sad. And it's another reason why, be thankful for every day. I say it before I go to bed at night. I pray every day. And, I don't think we talk near enough about God in our podcast, and maybe we add more to it. I read a lot of the Bible. I study a lot. I pray a lot. And every night before I go to bed, I thank God every day for the day. Thank you for this opportunity. And I always say, if I'm lucky enough and I'm blessed enough to see another day, I want to thank you before you give me that opportunity to see another day, because you never know. And what's happening in these schools is just crazy. I was talking to my boss on Saturday. We were just shooting the breeze we were talking about schools. And I'm not going to go down another rabbit hole, but we were just talking about how they want to make everything gender neutral and share bathrooms and bullshit and all that other stuff. And I texted him a line, and it's something that I say a lot. And I told him this, and he had never heard that before. And I told him, and I said, I said to him, where is it? I know what I said, but I said, keep your group tight, go outside and read the Bible. And those are so true words to read, just to live by, you know what I mean? Because it's crazy, right? It's crazy, this world, so keep your family, keep your group tight. Get your fresh air and get outside and get your sunshine every day. Go outside every day and read your Bible. If you're doing those 3 things, you're one step ahead of everybody else, I think. And it couldn't ring more true. But the fact that these parents went to work today, their kids went to school, and now they don't have a kid anymore. Or if it's, could have been an only child, or it could have been a sibling, It's tough, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore because it's so hard. But we'd be doing a disservice to those people if we didn't at least talk about it as dads, almost as like an instant reaction, So, but moving on, let's move on from there. Let's pick up the beat a little bit here. Let's talk about briefly last week. As you guys all know, we recorded together in Pensacola Beach, Florida. Florida was cool. And I mean, the weather was cool Literally. In the sense of the temperature. My fucking kids were wearing winter jackets in Pensacola. You didn't even pack your kids' pants because no one thought we were going to Florida. And it was shorts. Well, Bryce doesn't care because Bryce wears shorts and cutoffs every day. But poor Kendall's like, I don't have any pants. I'm like, oh boy. Luckily, Madison had a pair of pants that are too short for her now, but they fit Kendall. So Kendall got to wear a pair of jeans the night that we went out to dinner on the beach. It worked out well, but Pensacola was pretty cool. We had good family time, short friend time, but good time together with you guys. Weather was terrible. We had really good food. I will say we had good food. The seafood, because I'm not, when you live in Tucson like we have for a long time, you don't eat seafood. And even in Virginia, we didn't eat a lot of seafood because we were still 90 minutes from the shore. But dude, when you're on the beach, you eat seafood.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. It was every meal with seafood. And how about the beach, man? The sand at that beach, it was beautiful. The water, gorgeous. It was warm. I mean, I remember it was 52 degrees outside, and Kendall and Bryce were swimming. They were in the water swimming. I was like, this is great. People come by, people walk by, and they're like, "You must be from up north." Actually, Arizona.
Who would have thunk? We were telling people we live in Arizona, and we're like, we came to Florida, and like, are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. Like, but the beaches though, the beaches in Pensacola, you know, we stayed the first 2 nights down in Navarre Beach, which is just, you know, about 15 miles or so. You know, you would get there in 10 minutes, but it's a 25-mile-per-hour road, like Dave and I were saying. Where Dave's Airbnb was and where our first campground was, you could get there on like if it was a normal driving road in less than 10 minutes. But the fact of the matter is, it was literally 25 miles per hour patrolled. Yeah. You're like 30 minutes later, you're like, what is going on? Why is it taking us so long to get over there? You know, but we had a good time. We walked around downtown. The sand dollars, that was the mission for my kids, was to find some sand dollars, which we did. You found some, we found some. Sand dollars are pretty cool. Great. If you ever go shelling and especially on the Gulf side in Florida, up and down the Gulf Coast, you know, from Naples, Marco Island, all the way up to the Panhandle, you can get some pretty cool sand dollars. It was good. I mean, we actually saw, you didn't see it, but we saw 2 Portuguese man-o-war jellyfish when we were on Navarre Beach. And I'll never forget, we saw them like, dude, that's a jellyfish. I've never seen a jellyfish so big in my freaking life. And that thing was, you know, it's weird. It looked like a Ziploc bag that was full of air. That was like someone squeezed it. So all the air was tight and the pressure was tight. And then it had like these wild blue colors and then the tentacles off of it. And I was like, dude, that thing is crazy. So that sparked another homeschool lesson. We watched so many YouTube videos on Portuguese man-o-war jellyfish. We've seen people get stung by them. You don't want to pee on your skin. You want to use vinegar. I mean, but Florida overall, I mean, tip of the day. If you get stung by a jellyfish, don't pee on it. Just get some vinegar. But Florida was cool, man. I think I had a good time. Did you have a good time?
Dude, we had a great time. We'll definitely be going back to Pensacola, hopefully to sit on the beach more with just a bathing suit on and not sweatshirts. But yeah, dude, it was great. Good family time. First off, it was great to connect with you guys there. That was the main part of the trip. But secondly, to just get a chance to get away from our routine. It had been a long time since we'd gone. Usually we go away in the fall. We usually go to San Diego, but it's falls when we got the interview process going, started planning the move, getting the house cleaned out. So we hadn't had a break in a while. It was really nice. Just get away as a family, hang out, and spend some time together without any distractions. This is the first time, too, that I got to go away and not have to think about work in any sense of it. Like back when I was ESPN, I always got emails or phone calls like, oh, when you get back, you got to do this. I mean, doing real estate when we were in Tucson, it was always that. I was dealing with something with a client while I was gone. This was the first time, man, I was able to check out. First time, and I can't even tell you how long. And
one of the great things about your job is that they care about work-life balance. And when you go home, you go home. And we have a good job topic that we're going to jump in a next week episode that Dave wants to talk about, and I'm really excited to listen to it. But you know what I love most about the beach is running on the beach. I absolutely fucking love running when there's sand. I don't give a shit about sand. And when it's that beautiful, the sand is that fucking beautiful. Yeah. Just running down along the beach. You know, I ran on the beach a couple mornings barefoot, and then I just love lacing up my shoes. And because as you've heard us talk about visualization sessions, Dave and I love visualization sessions. And there's nothing better than running down a beach road with nothing but beautiful beach homes and just visualizing yourself in one of those homes one day. You know what I mean? So that was another perk to the Pensacola beach was the running, and it was and awesome. bad segue time because I'm bad at them. Speaking of running, our book recommendation for the episode 54 is Born to Run 2. So I have told you guys to read Born to Run 1. I have told you guys to read The Cool Impossible. So these two guys, Chris McDougall, Eric Orton. Chris McDougall wrote Born to Run, the first one. Eric Orton wrote The Cool Impossible. And Eric Orton also wrote the foreword in Born to Run for Chris because Eric Orton was Chris McDougall's coach. And he still is his coach. But this is called Born to Run 2, The Ultimate Training Guide. So before you read this, read Born to Run 1. But if you don't want to, you don't need to. But Born to Run 2 is exactly that. It is a training guide. I love it because it brings me back to square. Because a lot of times when I run as many miles as I do, I just forget about stuff. I forget to count cadence. I forget to check my heart rate. I forget to think about foot placement. And this is like the be-all, end-all for those types of nerdy things that I love to nerd out about when I'm running. But for a lot of people, even if you don't like the nerd, there's so many fun, cool, like different like warm-up activities and game, like almost like games, like you're a kid again. Because that's really the best way to, if you ever watch a kid run, they're always effortless. They just flow because that's the way you're supposed to run. We make running, it's too much of a business now, right? Running is just a business. All is running shoe. You need this fucking shoe. You need this insole. You need this sock, this short, this shirt. It's really just a fucking multi-billion-dollar industry now, and it drives me nuts because I barefoot run, as a lot of you know. I wear minimalist shoes, and I love being barefoot. And Dave makes fun of me for it, but it's just the way that it is. And I don't like heel pain and all those things. And there's all sorts of remedies and so much good stuff in this book to read. If you're a runner, if you're not a runner, you want to become a runner. There's also a lot of diet stuff in here, and that's another key thing too, because it's not just running. You can run every single day, but if you don't have your diet in tune, you're never going to get better at running because you have so much stuff. The fuel, there's so much fuel tied into the book. Like if you're putting bad fuel in your body, it's like if you put bad fuel in your car, right? You'll be a better runner if you do a full tune-up versus just, I look at it like this. If you just run, it's like, and you just maintain, it's like getting just an oil change. But if you change your diet and the way you run, that's like getting your oil change and also your fuel filter, your air filter. You know what I mean? There's so many components that go into it. It's a full tune-up versus just an oil change. A lot of people just drive, right? They drive their car their whole lives and they just oil change every 3,000 or 5,000 oil change. When it comes to running, you got to dive in there deeper. So Born to Run 2 is the book this week. It's a great book. I read it so fast, but it's also a book that I just like Eric Orton's other book, The Cool Impossible, I will use it as a reference. You know what I mean? It'll be a reference guide for me now to go back and forth. So check out Born to Run 2.
Cool.
That's episode 54, Dave. We had some highs in this episode, some lows in this episode, some cool, where the hell have I been? Well, hopefully, knock on wood, the next episode that I record will be from Tucson. So, hoping to be in Tucson by the weekend. So hopefully we will be recording from Tucson, and then we, I'll have a set location moving forward. But
awesome.
Dave, take us home.
All right, everybody, get out there, continue to live the full force life. Give your kids an extra hug today. I think that's important. Maybe pick up the Bible, read that. Pray for people too. Just heal some mental illness so we don't have to deal with some of these tragedies. So hug your kids, continue to live the full force life. We'll talk to you next week.